Cats have a reputation problem. Most people fall into one of two camps. Either they are completely convinced their cat loves them, or they secretly believe their cat would replace them tomorrow if someone down the street offered a slightly warmer lap. Both groups feel absolutely certain they're right. Which raises an obvious question: who is actually correct? Do cats really form emotional bonds with the humans they live with? Or are we just warm, food-dispensing furniture they've learned to tolerate? For a surprisingly long time, even scientists didn't have a clear answer. And it wasn't because nobody had looked. The problem is that cats are genuinely difficult animals to study. Dogs evolved alongside humans in social groups. Over thousands of years, they became incredibly good at reading our emotions, following our gestures, and communicating with us in obvious ways. Cats followed a completely different evolutionary path. Their wild ancestors were mostly solitary hunters. They didn't depend on teamwork to survive. They didn't need to constantly read the emotions of others. So they never evolved the same expressive social language that dogs did. For years, many researchers assumed this meant cats simply didn't become emotionally attached to humans. The relationship, they thought, was mostly practical. Humans provided food. Cats tolerated humans. End of story. But over the last 20 years, that idea has quietly started to fall apart. But researchers began asking a different question. Maybe cats weren't emotionally distant. Maybe we were simply looking for the wrong signals. It turns out, cats do show affection. Just not in any way humans naturally recognize. Take something called allorubbing. If your cat has ever pressed its forehead against your cheek, or rubbed its face against your hand, or wrapped itself around your legs in a figure 8, you've already seen it. Most people assume this is simply territorial behavior. And technically that's true. Cats have scent glands along their cheeks, chin, and forehead. When they rub against something, they leave behind invisible chemical signals. But here's where it gets interesting. Cats don't rub against everything. They rub against individuals they have strong social bonds with. Researchers have observed this behavior between cats that genuinely enjoy each other's company. It's a bonding ritual, not just a territorial one. So, when your cat headbutts your face, it isn't necessarily claiming you like a piece of furniture. It may actually be treating you the same way it treats another cat it trusts. In other words, your cat may be quietly telling you, you belong with me. And that's only the beginning. Because the next signal is even easier to miss. Take the slow blink. You've probably seen it. Your cat looks directly at you, holds your gaze, then slowly closes its eyes before opening them again. Most people assume it means nothing, or they think the cat is simply sleepy. But in 2020, researchers discovered something far more interesting. Cats were significantly more likely to approach a person after exchanging slow blinks with them. Even more surprising, humans could start the slow blink first, and many cats would respond. That completely changed how scientists interpret this behavior. Among animals, voluntarily closing your eyes around another individual isn't a trivial action. For a brief moment, you reduce your awareness of the world around you. You make yourself slightly more vulnerable. In other words, you're signaling that you don't feel threatened. Researchers now believe the slow blink is a form of positive social communication between cats and humans. Not exactly a smile, but something surprisingly close. A quiet signal that says, I'm comfortable. I trust you. I'm safe. And that idea of safety turns out to be the key to understanding almost everything cats do. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University carried out one of the most important cat studies ever published. Instead of asking whether cats looked affectionate, they asked a much deeper question. Do cats treat their owners as a source of emotional security? To answer it, they borrowed an experiment originally designed for human babies. It's called the secure base test. The idea is simple. Children who feel securely attached to a caregiver explore unfamiliar places more confidently when that caregiver is nearby. The caregiver becomes a safe base, an emotional anchor. When the caregiver leaves, the child's behavior changes. When they return, the child relaxes again. The researchers wondered, would cats behave the same way? So they placed cats inside unfamiliar rooms. Sometimes the owner stayed. Sometimes the owner quietly left. Then they watched. The results surprised almost everyone. Around 65% of the cats showed what psychologists classify as secure attachment. They explored the room more confidently while their owner was present. They became noticeably more cautious after the owner left. And when the owner returned, many of them immediately oriented back toward that person before continuing to explore. That doesn't prove cats experience love exactly the way humans do, but it does show something remarkably similar. For many domestic cats, their favorite human isn't just the one who fills the food bowl. They're a source of comfort, a source of safety, a secure base in an uncertain world. And the evidence doesn't stop there. The clues don't stop there. Think about where your cat chooses to sleep. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep is one of the most dangerous moments in an animal's life. You're unconscious, unaware of your surroundings, unable to react quickly if something goes wrong. Wild animals don't choose their sleeping companions casually. If your cat regularly curls up beside you, on your bed, against your legs, or even on your chest, that isn't just about warmth. It's about trust. Your cat has decided that you're one of the safest places it knows. Then there's another behavior almost every cat owner recognizes. You stand up. Your cat stands up. You walk into the kitchen. Your cat follows. You go upstairs. Your cat follows again. You close the bathroom door, and suddenly there's a small, furry guard waiting patiently outside. Most people assume this is food-related, but animal behaviorists see something different. It's called social monitoring. Cats naturally keep track of individuals that matter to them, and they continue doing it even when food isn't involved. They're not following you because they expect dinner every 5 minutes. They're following you because, in their world, you're important. Grooming adds another piece to the puzzle. Cats spend an enormous part of their day cleaning themselves, but they also groom other cats they share strong social bonds with. Scientists call this allogrooming. It's a behavior usually reserved for trusted companions. So when your cat repeatedly licks your hand, your arm, or even your hair, it may be extending that same bonding behavior toward you. Sometimes it's probably just because your skin tastes salty, but repeated grooming directed toward the same person is widely considered a positive social signal. Then there are the gifts. A toy left at your feet. A sock mysteriously delivered to your bedroom. Or, if you're less fortunate, something that was alive only a few minutes earlier. Scientists still debate exactly why cats do this. Some think it's a form of social sharing. Others believe it's connected to hunting behavior. But one thing is clear, cats don't randomly bring these objects to everyone. They choose specific individuals. And perhaps the biggest surprise came when researchers directly tested the idea that cats only care about food. They gave cats a choice: food, toys, or spending time with a human. A significant number chose the human instead. Not every cat. Cats have very different personalities. But enough of them made that choice to completely challenge the old stereotype. Maybe the relationship isn't just a transaction after all? Which brings us back to the original question. Do cats actually love humans? The honest answer is a little more complicated than most people expect. Cats are individuals. Some are incredibly affectionate, some are fiercely independent. Some bond deeply with one person, while barely acknowledging everyone else. No single study can capture all of that. But when you look at the research as a whole, a remarkably consistent picture begins to emerge. Cats aren't simply tolerating us. They seek us out when they feel safe. They choose to sleep beside us. They follow us from room to room. They rub their faces against us. They slow blink at us. They groom us. And many of them prefer spending time with us, even when food is an option. Does that prove cats experience love exactly the way humans do? No. We can't know what another species feels from the inside. But if love means forming lasting bonds, trusting someone enough to lower your guard, seeking comfort in their presence, and quietly making them part of your world, then the evidence points in one direction. Probably yes. Cats simply express affection in a language most humans were never taught to read. Now, you know what to look for.